another Geek News video. Today's video is going to be different. It's your boy Eric.
And Sound Ronin here, cutting it up live. Today we're here to talk about the top 30 animes of all time.
And this list was released this 2020, so maybe we'll chip in and tell our opinions on it. But before we do that, remember to like, share, and subscribe. And also let us know what you think in the comments below. If you like any other music in the background, remember to check Be the Human, link in the description below.
Or you can also follow our socials on our Instagrams, eflash777 and SoundRoad. So let's get into it.
Alright, man. So again, like I said, this list is the 30 best animes of all time, and I think that's up to for discussion because I'm usually really picky with my anime. I think this list has a perfect starting because I did like this one. What do you think?
Demon Slayer or Kimetsu no Yaiba for those weebs out there. Yeah, I think this definitely belongs on the list. I think Demon Slayer has a very unique art style. I think the plot's really well. And I think one thing I know, you being an artist, that we want to talk about, drawn anime versus digital rendering.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that when we see what position it's actually set on, which I think it's probably gonna be really up in the list. And yeah, I'd really take into account art when like the art style and all that. But yeah, I think like you said, one of those weebs. I am one of those weebs that says Kimetsu no Yaiba. I call the animes by their actual Japanese name if they're not that hard to pronounce. Some are.
Correct.
But yeah, so okay, let's just start with the first one. Okay, so number 30 doesn't have an image, but it's basically Fate, the Fate series, which means Fate Stay Night, Fate Zero, and Fate Stay Night, Unlimited Blade Works, Fate Grand Order, and a thousand things about that. So what do you think?
So Fate series, I think the first take is a little bit slower. I think they really pick it up in Fate Zero with the animation.
Yeah.
It's kind of a simple kind of overall battle theme, uh, kind of grand royale where there's five different,
Ha-
heroes that they really circle around in the Fate series. It's kind of a closed off anime, really. I think that the plot could have a little bit more development to it, but it's really Fate Zero is more of a flashy fight scene. So if you're looking for really cool fights, definitely Fate series is something to check out.
Yeah, for sure. And a couple of things I want to talk about is like really, like you said, the first one really drags out, but I think they kind of got their stuff together for Fate Zero, and then Unlimited Blade Works was just a retelling of the original story, which worked even better than the original. Because I think the plot lines about Archer being I forgot the guy's name actually really work because they kind of explain a little more how he became so good, and also has a little Easter egg at the end where he's like training in the Magician's Academy and all that. I really think it works. I'm not sure how I feel about it being on 30 though, because Fate's good, but then again, Fate Stay like the original Fate Stay Night isn't as good, and Grand Order was kind of filler for me. So I'm not sure how I feel about the position. What do you think about the 30 for this one?
Yeah, I maybe it wouldn't break into our top 30.
I don't think it would. Probably a top 100, but not top 30. And maybe
Yeah.
Fate Zero would definitely put it on my top 30, but just Fate Zero. I'm not sure
Yeah, if
about
we're
the
just
whole
talking just Fate Stay Night, then yeah, definitely not in our top 30. So Fate, we're gonna have to say Sayonara.
Sayonara. Yeah, for sure. Konosuba. I'm gonna come clean here. I haven't watched Konosuba. So yeah, I can't really talk about that one.
And I will have to join you in that boat, and I have never watched that.
Yeah, it's a popular comedy, so maybe I'll take a look at it. I really
And
like
if you guys have
comedies.
some comments and think that we should check out Konosuba and maybe even review it, definitely let us know in the comments.
Yeah, and also I'm just gonna leave a comedy, suggestion if you guys want my 2 cents. I think if you guys wanna have a good laugh watching anime, maybe watch Detroit Metal City. Yeah, DMC. Watch that. It's incredible, incredibly funny. It's about a guy that moved to Tokyo to join a J-pop band, but ends up in a black metal band. Yeah. Yeah, you should definitely watch that one. Okay, so next one, 28, Inuyasha.
classic.
All right, it is a
Now,
classic. I did enjoy. I think it has a lot of nostalgia factor because I grew up watching it on Toonami.
yeah, I mean that was back when like Adult Swim, you'd stay up after the tsunami and then just wait for it.
Yeah, I think it's great. It has a lot of good things, but I'm not sure because sometimes Inuyasha feels a little episodic, like like one of those CW shows that have some episodes that are just to have an episode and don't really add into the final plot. But I
Oh,
think
tons of fillers.
yeah, but I think it works. Like the opening is great. The animation is incredible too, considering it was actually hand drawn.
Yeah, and
Uh,
we're also talking about like when this was first made back in the day. I mean, we're talking, around like 2000s.
yeah.
That's for what it was, I think it did a really good job. Now, if we're talking fight scenes, not crazy fluid animation,
Mhm.
but it does have a darker sense of style when we're talking about villains.
Oh,
So it
yeah,
has
for
like
sure.
that feudal era Japan kind of like samurai Ronin feel that there takes place in. And not for nothing, Inuyasha overall is kind of a love story.
Yeah,
If you really watch it all the way through, it's kind of him and Kagome are really the main focus of everything.
and some really good things about it. Like I think Sesshomaru is one of the best characters in the show. It has a redemption arc where he's like he hates humans, and then at the end he comes real close to one to a human girl, and he's just like as a daughter or something. I think that really works for redemption art, considering he was like a villain at first, and then you see more dimension to him. But yeah,
Right.
I think I agree with you. The fights are not the strongest point, but I don't think they're meant to be.
Yeah, I definitely think it was more of a plotline story. And again, it's a great love story overall. I think it really is cool where you have, a partial demon and a girl from the future in a different time era really kind of meet from two different worlds, and you see them at first be like so standoffish, but ultimately, kind of fall in love.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, I think it probably. I'm not sure how I feel about it being in top 30, but
I think for
it,
nostalgia purposes, it would definitely be top 100, but not in the top 30.
maybe top 50. I would argue top 50, but yeah. Okay, so
All right, so
next,
let's move on to next.
number 27 is one of my top three, maybe, anime of all time, Cowboy Bebop.
Cowboy Bebop.
I feel really bad about it being on 27 though. This is, this is, it's killing me right now seeing on
It's a
27.
little heartbreaking. It's a little heartbreaking. I think Cowboy Bebop really not. I mean, don't get me wrong, another nostalgic one, but I think for the time it was made, it was way ahead of its time. And we're not even talking about plot line, storyline, or even just the characters themselves. I think they do a great job of bringing in like all the villains, all the characters, assembling the team, and really hitting home with the soundtrack. It's on all fronts. I think Cowboy Bebop was just a great anime.
And I agree with you. I think this anime is perfect in every sense, like character development. You see when they start telling the characters' backgrounds and the history of everyone. I just feel like this show really should be way at least top 10 for the rest of the work. Is music's perfect, animation is really ahead of its time. I think the guy who animated this one went on to animate a lot of great things, like sort of the Stranger. I think he did some Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. I mean, the animation. I think also Soul Eater. So the animation is great. The art is like the art style is incredible. Plot is actually good too. They don't show you all of it. They don't do a lot of exposition, which for me works because you really have to get in and start thinking and trying to connect the dots yourself. But
Right.
the music, the jazz of it and the blues really make it work to a more like to a level that's not been done since. Maybe
And I
other.
think one.
Mhm.
Go ahead.
Okay, it's fine. But yeah, I think it's great. Maybe other anime that reminds me of this one, which with the music working in the same way, is Samurai Champloo, and it's from the same guy, so go figure.
Right, and I think that one thing that Cowboy Bebop does really well. We're talking 26 episodes, very short anime, a lot of stuff and work to do within 26 to tell a whole story, get all the character backgrounds, and ultimately introduce the villain, have the struggle, and resolve everything and wrap it up in a nice little bow. So for as far as a short anime that's a classic, 26 episodes, some animes take 100 to really tell the story. So I think they did a great job of really pinpointing everything down in this one. So definitely top 5 for me, if not top 10.
It's definitely top three for me, but yeah, 100%. And also the movie is really good, works as well. And like you said, 26 episodes, they tell a great story, and it just works, man. It just really works, and it's even open ended, which it's good if you like that kind of thing. Okay, so next, Yu-Gi-Oh. Not sure how I feel about Yu-Gi-Oh being here, to be honest with you, and even feel bad about it being 26 and not higher. I mean, not lower than Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah, I would say that Yu-Gi-Oh doesn't hit in the top 30. I think it's more that because at that time the card game was actually really taking off and it was more of a community thing that the show was made, and it was cool to see, they making the same moves and seeing the creatures play out like how you would do it in real life. But overall, I think the plot and all really didn't hit home after the first season, after the whole Pegasus arc, after everything, the Millennium items, it really kind of fell flat, and I felt that they just kept trying to just
I
continue the franchise and add new decks and new monsters
I
as any good company does to make more money.
and I agree with you. I feel like there's a lot of things that do not work with it. The first season was great, but then again, if you think about it for more than 2 seconds, there's a lot of weird things about the plot, like Yugi losing Exodia and all that. It's just basically trying to drag out a story without really a story behind it. Actually, have you ever watched what was it, Duel Master, which was like a Yu-Gi-Oh knockoff slash parody? I think it works way better than this one.
Was that the one with the where they use the monsters with dice?
No, it's basically this the same as Yu-Gi-Oh. They use cards, but the main character has like a spiky hair as well. But there's it's such meta humor that they keep talking about how much hair gel he uses before every episode and everything. It's really funny. You should definitely take a look at that one. If you really like Yu-Gi-Oh, you probably enjoy Duel Masters more if you like comedy.
All right, let's
And
go on to the next one.
yeah, just like one last thing to add is like there's literally one episode where he's about to lose and then he wins and he says that the reason he won is because he's the main character. So stuff like that.
Kind of breaking the fourth wall.
Yeah, definitely breaking the fourth wall. All right, so Code Geass. I think Code Geass definitely deserves a spot right here. It's a show that I okay. So the art style for this one is really different. It has a very big eye, sleek bodies style that I think really works. Weird because I wouldn't watch it like normally, but then the plot is so good that you have to watch and enjoy it. And what do you think about it?
So I think Code Geass really brings a lot of things to the table. So we have one great plot line, and we're talking about a plot line really based on societies like low class, high class, or what eventually could happen. Like there'd be a utopia of people of humans living together, and then everyone sit in the ruins of whatever's left of the earth. You have mechs up in there. You have some supernatural powers. I think it has a lot of things bringing it together, but definitely the writing is really great. And Lelouch, the main character, really has such a sense of progression where he's just some kid that wants revenge to eventually leading a revolution. And it almost reminds me of the intelligence that you would see from like Yami or Light rather from Death Note.
Oh, 100%. I think that's what works for me. I think like the characters like really push in the plot. Like I don't think Code Geass would have worked with another lead. Like I think it's Suzaki in the beginning of Lelouch of the Resurrection, which isn't as good before Lelouch comes back, because that's what Code Geass is. It's basically Lelouch trying to make everything go as he wants, and that's what I think works for the show. But it's great. I just feel like the mecha in it, like they changed the genre a little, because back in the day, every mecha fight would be like in a Gundam Wing style, but this one had like skates, like roller skates and stuff like that that changed a lot my perception of anime and just remind me of Eureka 7, which I think is another anime that should definitely be here.
Yeah, as far as mech animes goes, I think Eureka 7 kind of really changed it up as far as, the mechs fighting to more of like
Snowboarding in
it,
the air.
yeah, like almost like snowboarding in the air, exactly. And then it became this whole element with aliens and like where all the mechs came from. So that was a really cool. That was different where Gundams are built, they're human made,
Yeah, I let's see if this one has like if this list has Eureka 7. I'd be happy if I see it because I don't think it's known enough by
right?
people. All right, so
My
number 24, it's My Hero Academia. I think Boku no Hero definitely should be way higher than 24.
Yeah, I honestly of 2020, this is definitely that is a must watch, I
Yeah,
would say. My Hero starts off with, our main character Midoriya having no powers, superpowers in a world where pretty much everyone and their mother have a superpower.
yeah.
And it's a tale of him becoming the greatest hero. Now, you also have the greatest hero, All Might, mentoring him and teaching him. So I think it's a really cool like underdog story that eventually starts picking up, and even by like the second, third episode, you already start seeing some really cool fight scenes, some really cool animations
Yeah.
that really just drags you in right off the bat.
Things that really make me like this anime is not just the fact that he approaches fights in a different way because his powers are too strong for him at the beginning. So he has to be smart about how he uses it so he doesn't damage his body as much. But also, this is an anime about him having to work hard for things. Like he's not like one of the I know you like this show, but it's not like a Naruto or a Goku type that they're just like the chosen one for some reason, or like Ichigo. He's like a guy that has to work hard for things, and that's what things are coming his way because he's actually making them happen a little like Black Clover, where the main character doesn't have any magic but has to work for things. It's basically the same concept, and I really like that concept. The first time I saw something like that was probably Zoids, where the main character in the first episode he couldn't move the Zoid without having the organoid, but in the last episode he beats his rival without the organoid and just using his 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 quip basically. What do you think?
Yeah, I definitely think My Hero should be way higher. Definitely, it would break into the top 10 for me, especially now you have the did a really great job on those, and the second movie final boss scene, I won't ruin anything, but really intense, not only for the actual animation, but what happens in the final scene and what you see go on with him and Bakugo. Again, not going to ruin anything else, but amazing. So I really think it's nice, and it plays right into the series. I think they do a great job of just transferring over to the movie and just continuing on, which sometimes with the series you don't really get that. But I think this one definitely big things coming out, especially if you read the manga. Big things are happening, so definitely must watch. I would definitely put it in the top 10.
Yeah, for sure. And the animation is perfect, so definitely must watch on my recommend as well. All right, number 23, Stains Gate. I really like this one. I think it's a different type of anime. It's more of a psychological theme anime, but I enjoyed it a lot actually.
See, now this is on my list. I hear good things about it, and I know it's a little bit more sci-fi ish, but definitely on my list. So it's a good thing that I hear you're talking high things about it.
Yeah, definitely recommend for me. So if you really are looking for something to watch, definitely take a look. Start with 2011 one and then move to 2018 one. It's great actually. I really liked it. And also kind of reminds me of another psychological anime, but I forgot the name. But yeah, okay. So next is Tokyo Ghoul. All right. Before you tell me anything about this one, I have mixed feelings about it. I really loved the manga and the anime. First season was perfect, but then the two seasons that came after really didn't hit home with me.
See, that's kind of surprising for me. Now, the I think the first one I know compared to the being a different storyline. But I think again, first season was great. Really, really was nice to see all the different kind of ghouls and their powers, how far and how they were just immersing themselves in society in almost like in a hidden fashion. And then you see everything break out once they come after them. And that's more of when you get to the second season, and now he has, all his powers realized. He's fully developed pretty much as his ghoul form. But I really think the second and third season is more about the fights, because that's when you really see everything start to go crazy. You learn about the owl more and all the big ghouls, as far as like the big heavy hitters in that anime. But storyline does fall a little bit flat on second, third season. But I still think it's a fun watch. Nice dark anime style, really sleek movements when they do have fight scenes. So I would say maybe top 30 is appropriate, but not in my top 10.
For sure, not top 10. Maybe top 30 works. Yeah. I do love the character designs. I think they're different, and now you see it a lot more. But when it came out, it was something to look for because it was completely different to what was coming out. All right. So next we have Origairu. Never seen this anime, to be honest with you. So my thoughts is maybe I'll recommend something comedy or youth or romantic that I've seen that I enjoyed, which to me would be probably what's it called? Toradora. I think it's really good.
Yeah, I haven't seen this one either. I don't know. Sometimes certain animes, they don't have to be fight scenes every episode, but the thing is there's certain silliness in, some of the writing that you see with characters that sometimes throws me out of it, where, you see someone that can blow up a planet and then they're tripping over rocks, and, that kind of stuff is like, but you know what, I give fair shakes to all anime. That's just a personal opinion. I'm not really with the silliness, but probably we'll check this one out. Maybe we'll do a review on it if it does make it into our top 50.
Okay, so do you have you seen any comedy anime that you think would be worth to recommend?
I would say there's this one called Bento. So
Oh,
it's
Bento, hell
it's
yeah.
kind it's kind of a comedy, but it's also a fight anime
Yeah, I
where you
just
have
yeah, I love it. I
yeah,
love it.
where you have these characters that essentially are fighting over discounted sushi in supermarkets.
Yeah.
And it's this whole thing that they develop that, every day you go out, you fight for your food, and it's kind of this cool, like, honorable thing. And then you see all these different types of people that go out and fight, and why they fight and how they get their food. It's a cool take, and you see that there's like little mini bosses at each supermarket. So it's kind of almost like a beat 'em up game almost kind of sense, where they're going from, supermarket to supermarket, just collecting food and items and fighting people. So it's a pretty cool one.
Oh, for sure. I think Bento works really good. Also, a very short anime that I think if you guys want to see something that is not as long or it's not as plot driven where you have to be like super focused on it and you just want to have a good time, definitely watch Bento. I think it's great. Good suggestion actually. Not a lot of people
Yeah,
know Bento, so I'm really happy
yeah.
you
It's
did as
it's
well.
it's like a little hidden ones that don't have too many episodes, and it's not very in the public's eye. It's crazy.
Yeah. Okay, so number 20, we have Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya. This is one of the animes that I've seen everywhere that I don't think I've ever had the strength to watch. Uh, so yeah, I can really give my 2 cents on it. Have you seen it?
No, I can't say I have. I've heard of a couple people talking about it, but I mean, like you said, I've seen it everywhere, but I don't see any fans present talking to me about it, which doesn't necessarily mean it's not a great anime. I just think maybe certain stories are, told in certain ways, and again, certain ones are more silly. So definitely will be on our list to check out, but can't say I have any pre notions on it.
Actually, yeah. So maybe I'll recommend another anime that has like these different type of plot. And I think an anime I watched that to me was different that I really had a good time was Anohana. I don't know if you've seen it. It's called the flower that we saw that day. And
Hmm.
if you've seen that anime or not, then maybe take a look. It's about a group of kids that one of their friends died when they were kids, when they were little, and then one of the kids, like 7 years later, starts sees the ghost of the kid, but it's also grown, like if she hadn't died. So they have to figure why they are seeing the ghost and how they can like help her get to the other side. So it's really good. It's actually very touchy and you have a good time watching it. It's a way different anime than what I usually watch. But yeah, it's definitely my recommend. for something like this. All right, maybe Detective Conan. I don't know a lot about this one. I know you do, so maybe
Okay, so
maybe sell me the idea why this one needs to be in the top 30 if you think it should.
Okay, so now if you like Sherlock Holmes, mystery kind of detective kind of shows, then definitely Detective Conan is one to check out. So we take that where this brilliant, teenage aspiring detective who's solving crimes around the world gets somehow slipped a certain potion or formula that makes him turn into a child again. And
Oh, okay.
the whole premise is him going around helping this friend, oh, his girlfriend's dad, who is also a detective, but not the greatest detective in the world. So you see him have to solve everything behind the scenes, and it's really they take a really good look at detective and mysteries where you see him break down murders and figure out like common problems like old mysteries that you hear about as like the there's a knife and there's a knife in someone's back, all the rooms and doors are closed and no one broke in, and there's a bunch of water in the floor. It's an old detective like secret where essentially the knife would be in the ice block frozen, the person jumped on it, bam. So like really intricate stuff like that they go over and touch into in different ways. So I think it's a really cool thing if you're into detective stuff and mystery. A little silliness, but honestly, not on the thing that enough to turn me away. Because again, we're talking about a grown man got turned into a kid, so you see him running around trying to play with other little children.
I was actually gonna ask you about how is he? Because I didn't know he was not like a kid. I was like, how is he an old guy? And then you just talked about the potion thing. So I think
Yeah,
I
there's
would
there's like a
definitely
secret agency behind the scenes. Yeah, yeah.
I would definitely take a look at the anime. I think I haven't seen enough of it, but yeah. Okay, so laid back camp. No idea what this anime is about. What about
Yeah,
you?
not a
Okay.
clue.
Okay, so then again, what we're gonna do is every time we see an anime that we haven't seen, we'll look at the genre and we'll suggest something different, something similar to it. So comedy anime. Any other comedies I would probably suggest? One of my top, probably top 10 or top 30 animes of all time is Great Teacher Onizuka or GTO. I think it's a comedy that will have you laughing your ass off. If you can watch it on the sub version, that will be funnier because I think the dubbing for it was terrible. I watched it a couple months ago on Amazon Prime, and the dubbing is just so bad. But the original anime is just so great. GTO. Any suggestions for a comedy anime?
Comedy, well, there's this one. It's called Air Gear. It's
Oh,
not so much comedy, but it has a nice touch of comedy that will have you laughing on every episode. Now, Air Gear is this whole anime based on imagine if you had roller skates that had motors and engines on them, and now you have, instead of biker gangs, air gear gangs rolling around town, everyone rocking their colors and crews, competing, and kind of like street racing.
I
They
actually
compete for red slips or pink slips.
I actually liked Air Gear. The thing with Air Gear is I kind of had a. Have you seen the movie Akira? It has the
Of course.
gang feel at the beginning when I
Yeah.
started watching, so that's why I like it. All right, so Violet Evergarden, another anime I really haven't watched. I think it's a newer anime, but it's drama, which is definitely a genre I don't usually watch. Uh, Actually, I think Anohana is probably drama, but I'm not really familiar with this type of anime. What about you?
I haven't seen this one either, to be fair. I've actually heard some cool things that the writing's really well, so this is definitely one to check out on my list, but we're going to have to leave that for a future time.
All right, same. Let us know if you want us to definitely watch this one and maybe review it. All right, so this one we're getting on the hotter stuff. Attack on Titan, Shingeki
Okay,
no
now.
Kyojin. If you're a weeb, as you said. But I think this anime is great. I actually wasn't okay. So I'm one of the type of person that will usually not watch something just because it's popular. But then I gave it a shot and I was like super amused by it, and I really watched the whole thing in probably 2 weeks, at least
Yeah,
up
this is
till season three. Yeah.
definitely a bingeable anime. I think Attack on Titan has like this new, cool, darker style drawing and animation, but also the soundtrack is really cool. It really drives home kind of the fear and grief and struggle that these characters are feeling day to day. Because for people who don't know, Attack on Titan is a pretty much the human race is terrorized by these giant humanoid creatures called Titans that enjoy eating humans for breakfast.
Yeah, I think
So
there are some issues with the show. I think the animation makes it really work. The art style is really good, although I kind of wanted to get into the manga first, and I wasn't really feeling the drawing because the guy, the artist, was actually his first story. He wasn't really good with the anime, but the story was really good, and that's where he got it was a hit. But then again, the animation and the TV show make it work better because they had to fix a lot of art issues for it. The reason I still think it has some issues, and that's why it's not on my top 10, probably in my top 20, but not my top 10. It's because I think the characters are not as strong as they should be. Like I know you shouldn't compare anime, but if you compare it to something like Full Metal Alchemist, where every character has like very three-dimensional, I think this show does not have that for most characters, and that's why I don't think it works as much for me because the plot's really good, the action is great, but the characters are kind of weak sometimes.
see, I get what you say with that because realistically, you just have the main three characters that they really touch upon stories: Armin, Eren, and Mikasa. That's really what this all focuses around. Those the the three musketeers. Everyone else, it does fall short in character development. But to be fair, I think there's a lot of characters in this anime, and not no spoilers, but it's a pretty gruesome anime, and some characters don't stay around long. So
I
I
know
get what you're saying, but I think with the whole world they build around them, I think they really focused on really developing the
the plot.
storyline
Yeah,
more than the characters.
yeah,
Yeah,
and
because
that's why I think
I really do like this one. I think it would be in definitely in this list. I think it could go a little bit higher than 16, but definitely on the list.
okay, cool. Like I said, I do like it. I think it's really good. I just feel like it's not perfect, and that's basically it. I don't think it's perfect, but it really works really good, and I think it deserves to be in top 30. I think probably maybe 11 or 12. You're right. I would put
Yeah,
it a little
just
higher.
a little bit higher. Yeah, but definitely not breaking the top five. But very cool anime. Definitely one to check.
Yeah, and if you like slick animation, definitely go for it. Okay, Full Metal Alchemist. Number 15, I'm a little hurt by this, because for me, I think this one is definitely top 10, if not top 3 or top 5 at least. I think Full Metal Alchemist is one of those animes that are perfect in every level. They have great animation, great art style, great character development, and the plot is incredible. And if you know the story about this anime, there's actually two stories for it because the first one came out like in 2003, and when they got to the anime got caught up with the manga and they had to wait for the manga to be over. So what they did is they finished the story in a different way, and when the manga finished, they decided to redo the TV show, but this time following the manga story, and they're actually both really good and they both work. And I just feel like
See,
every character is great in this one.
I think I would have to say that Full Metal Alchemist original definitely in the list. Brotherhood would be lower on the list for me. Now,
Ooh.
here's why. Now, Brotherhood, if you like sleek animation, really cool fight scenes, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood definitely has a lot more of those already from the beginning. But reason why I like Full Metal Alchemist original better, I mean, you really see where the two, Edward and Alphonse, you see it's very dark in the beginning where their
Hmm.
upbringing, how they come about, how they get into alchemy, and you see their progression and uncovering all the dark secrets that the Philosopher's Stone really has and that no one really talks about, and you see them breaking into the government. It's a whole conspiracy, so
Yeah.
it's really cool, very dark, but I like it just because, like you said, they do really good with the character development. A lot of really a lot of plots that are already like mixed and weaved in each character, and you see that develop when everyone keeps moving forward. So it's really cool anime. Definitely give both a try. Let us know which one you like better. Maybe we'll even do a comparison video.
Okay, so here's the thing. I think this anime, like, I cannot look at it as one thing. I think Full Metal Alchemist or Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, they should be watched as a one thing, even if the plots divide. Because some of the topics they do not touch on Brotherhood is because they already did in the first Full Metal Alchemist, and that's why I think you should watch both, and then you can make what you want of it because I think both are good. I just feel like the reason I like Brotherhood a little more is because you get closure with a lot of plot lines, and then you finally see them get like there's a lot of things that were never really clarified, like their father and the whole how they infiltrated the government and all that. So I think Brotherhood works as well as the other one. I would you say it's a top 10 or would you rank it as
Full
similarly?
Metal Alchemist, definitely. I think it was really well done. My top 10, I would say it's in my top 15. I think it's well placed, to be honest, because I do have a couple that if they're not further down the list, we should probably touch upon. But I think first Full Metal Alchemist, yes, on the top 30 list. Brotherhood, me personally, probably not, but definitely check it out, guys, and let us know what you think if it should
Okay.
be higher or even on the list.
All right, I would say definitely top five for me. At least the whole thing as a one thing, because like I said, I cannot separate them. All right, cool. Here's the anime I mentioned, Anohana, the flower we saw that day.
There
This
we go.
anime is actually incredible. I didn't think a drama anime would make me feel so good about a show. This show, like I said, it just follows one kid that starts seeing the ghost of a childhood friend who died, and I think like it brought like it shows like the ghost shows at a time where he's like always being alone, and she realizes that the group of friends that they were like super close, they're not even together anymore. They don't even talk to each other in public or anything. And that's what like you have to see him become friends together again because of his childhood friend. And at first he's the only one who can see the ghost, so they think like they're joking, like he's joking a very grim joke or something like that. But it really gets in you, man. It's really good, and I cannot say you will not cry with it. For real, you should definitely take a look at this one. I think it's in Netflix, and if it's not, maybe look for maybe Crunchyroll or something.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Next we have Love Love Life. I've never seen that one actually. Not
Yeah, I
on my.
haven't seen it either, so it looks like Japanese pop singer groups.
Yeah.
Again, when I see that kind of story, I do usually lean more away from those kind of storylines or shows. Again, me personally, not a silliness fan, but if you do like some silliness, but you want some fight scenes, one we could recommend, Fairy Tale. I think that's a cool take on a world full of magic, a little bit different than Black Clover, but still in a world where wizards and groups or clans have this whole mythical world, and I think it does well with balancing, storyline and fighting with silliness, but definitely leans more to like silliness a lot.
Okay. Now that you mentioned magic, I would say if I wanted to recommend a magic world anime, I would probably recommend Read Zero. I think it's different and it really works with the whole magic thing, and the whole magic system in the show works really differently. But considering this anime has like this one, there was Love Life has like the K-pop star, J-pop star aesthetics. I think if you want to see something similar to that plot, but in a way that's completely different and iconic, you should probably watch a movie called Perfect Blue, which follows a star, a music star that wants to become an actress, but there's a lot of plots with it. You should definitely watch it. Have you seen that anime movie?
No, I haven't actually.
The movie's so iconic that there's a lot of movies that I have referenced a lot of scenes from the movie in Western culture. So I think you should definitely take a look at Perfect Blue.
All right,
All
goes on
right,
the list.
yeah, for sure. All right, excellent. Ghost in the Shell, and
Oof.
oof, I think this is perfect. I have not watched the live action version because I'm not a fan of those. They're usually not great, and I've heard terrible things about it. But then there's another anime series that I haven't watched that just released a few years ago, actually this year. But yeah, what do you think of Ghost in the Shell?
So Ghost in the Shell, I think it's definitely a watch, and not for nothing, I guess. Like when you see a lot of Ghost in the Shell, Cowboy Bebop, a lot of people think, hey, it's nostalgia
No.
because the art style, was made back, back in the '90s. So you see this kind of older tint on it, but not for nothing, there was a little bit ahead of their time. Very sleek things where you have this android kind of cop detective rolling through where she can turn invisible, and that's another thing that they touch upon is like imagining if people were part cyborgs. What if they got hacked? What if this whole thing with the Neuralink nowadays, and everything happening where you're trying to integrate humans with machinery. So I think it's a really cool story with all that kind of concept,
Yeah.
and definitely not again nostalgia purposes, but I do think this is a classic that's a must watch and definitely good spot. Could be in the top 10, but I do have other ones that break my top 10. So 12, I think, is a very good fit.
I agree with the 12. It's funny now you mentioned Neuralink. I think some of movies have this vision that somehow the more time passes, they become more relevant. I think Ghost in the Shell and the whole what's real and what's not when it comes to like memories and all that really comes close to whatever's happening right now with Neuralink and all that. So yeah, definitely a watch. Recommend for me. 12 is good. I think 12 is a perfect spot for it for me. So yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Next, we have Dragon Ball. All right.
Oof.
Okay. So I'm
This
gonna I'm
this
gonna provide a controversial opinion on this one. I like
okay.
Dragon Ball. I've watched the whole thing. I don't think it's on my top 10 or close to 11. It's probably top 50 for me. Yeah.
Well, see, you have now Dragon Ball Z was such an iconic thing, and I think definitely had a big play in Western culture because when it came over, it blew up. Even people who didn't watch anime, they watched Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
It was so widely spread. Now, don't get me wrong, Dragon Ball, I liked it just because you got to see where Goku came from, how he became this eventually Super Saiyan and beyond. Because I know they continue with the series for how much longer now that it's still going.
Yeah.
But I definitely think nice fight anime, very cool. Um, Definitely some episodes you're gonna be waiting where they're charging up for an episode or two, but very cool iconic fights. The villains are really nice because now you have like villains that are pretty much can destroy the world.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty cool ragtag team that you see them grow up and really train most of the time. But
Okay.
definitely, I would say top 20. But overall, for storyline and plot, not my favorite.
No. Okay, so here's the thing. I do like you said, the villains and the designs. If you have me on Instagram, you probably see me. I just posted a few days ago a lot of Dragon Ball art because I do love Dragon Ball and the designs, but I do not think it's perfect. And I just feel like don't at me, but I feel Dragon Ball, the original show where Goku is a kid, works better than the whole show. Dragon Ball Z is great, but Dragon Ball Super or GT did not make it for me as much. So yeah, definitely a watch, but you don't have to watch the whole thing. And like you said, some episodes really drag. Like either Goku is charging up or Goku's flying towards a fight, and that takes sometimes a lot of episodes. So yeah,
Yeah, I would say probably the top arc for me was the Cell Saga. That was
Cell Saga,
really
yeah.
my favorite part. And that's where you bring everyone in the mix. No shots are withheld. People
And
die. People get resurrected. It's a whole crazy mess. But I
one of
I, I
my
love the Cell Saga.
one of my favorite plot lines is future Gohan. I think it's a Nova, with future Gohan training Trunks, and he only has one hand. I think that's a great plot. But yeah, the show's great. Not sure if it's on my top 20, but for sure really good. All right, Death Note. All right,
Oof.
so here's the
Yes.
thing. I do think Death Note deserves to be on 10, on spot 10, probably right there or maybe a little lower, because for me, spoilers, after L dies, I think the shows really falls flat after that. I think like after we get rid of L, the plot just doesn't have a character strong to to fight Kira. Because to me, once that we have the back and forth with L gone, the show just really comes to maybe we need an N, and I don't think M or N have the same star power as L had.
See, now I find it interesting that you say that. Now, I do agree that during the anime, I think L and Light have this thing of this battle of good and evil that's so monumental in the anime that it's their rivalry and the
For
secrecy of what they're both plotting is really great. But yeah, again, spoiler, when L goes, it does bring I think it leaves a hole or a gap for Light because
yeah.
now he won. But I think that's the coolest part about that of the whole thing, where Light finally won and got what he needed. So now he's riding this high and on top. But now someone's got to take him down. So I can see how they had to write that in. But I think the way it ended, how he, again, no spoil. I'm not going to spoil that one. You have to watch it through. But definitely, I think the way they brought in the other characters and rivals towards him to take him down, I think it was a good job because you see Light this whole series, this mastermind, brilliant genius taking down the whole thing from the inside, like almost living two lives, and then he starts to spin out of control and losing touch with everything.
Okay,
And
so
at that point, go ahead.
yeah, here's the thing. I do agree with you. I think that had to happen, and I did enjoy the whole show. I just feel like, first of all, I didn't see it as good at evil. I see an evil. I see it more as a battle of wits. Who's smarter? Who's the one that catches the other one? The reason I don't think everything works after L is gone is because, like I said, I think L is such a strong character, and after that, I do like the Yagami becomes like a self-righteous god. He wants to be like, he's the one that rules and all that. I like that, but then again, I just feel like without L, um, the plot doesn't go as strong as it was. And I did like it. I watched the whole thing. I don't know if you know that at the end he becomes like spoilers like a Shinigami and all that. I did enjoy that. I just don't feel like the writing is as good as it was with L.
Yeah, I mean, I think every storyline, the hero is only as good as the villain. But in this case, Light's the villain. He lost his hero,
Yeah.
so it's kind of a darker take on everything.
All
But
right.
definitely in top 10.
All right. Okay. Okay. So I like that. So every story is as strong as their villain, but now we have every villain is as strong as their hero, and that I think that works too. Yeah, I like that. Because without a strong hero, a villain is just a guy killing everyone. So I agree with you.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. All right. So next we have Pokemon. Okay. I can see why it's in top 10. I don't think it's in top 10 for me because I played Pokemon Red on my Game Boy Color back in a long time ago,
See,
and
Game Boy Pocket.
yeah, and I had a great time playing it. But when I watched the show, I was probably on my around like my early teenager years, like I was like 11 or 12, and I think we talked about Pokemon or Digimon. Somehow I think I connected more with Digimon because I was Digimon feels more like a teenager show, and Pokemon felt more like a kid show, and that's why I think I connected more with Digimon than Pokemon.
Yeah, and I think that now Pokemon, that was such a big franchise. I think it was the game and the same kind of concept with Yu-Gi-Oh and a show, but the game had such a pull and such a big community for it that yeah, you watch the show because who doesn't want to hear that dope guitar 80s theme song, you
Oh,
know?
the show is great. The intro, don't get me wrong, that's perfect. Yeah, I can agree with that.
But yeah, definitely letting a 10 to 14-year-old boy travel with some creatures and just go out in the plot line's a little weak.
Not just that. I feel like and I think I talked about this with about other animes, and this is the perfect example for that. That this is a very episodic anime where everything is as important as it is for the one episode. And after that, it doesn't really add much to the plot. Like he goes to this island, he finds this out, and he can understand that he needs his friends or he needs like something like that. It's more about a message per episode than it is about plot overall. At least with the earlier shows, I didn't watch the last Sun and Moon Pokemon, but I did watch the one with Ash was about to win the tournament with Greninja, but didn't win. Uh,
Yeah, I went
and
up all the way to the Sinnoh region. Yeah, I hear you.
yeah, so I feel like it's good. Definitely, probably not even top 100 for me.
Yeah, as far as anime, I think again, just the game was really what I was really into, and
Yeah,
even
game.
watching the show. And I was a little bit younger at the time, and even watching the show, there was still other animes I'd watch it instead of it. So Pokemon, I'm sorry, we love you, but
No,
we're gonna go catch some others.
hell yeah. Okay, so just before we go, I actually had the when I was a kid, I used to watch Gundam Wing, and I think
Oh,
I
classic.
I would watch Gundam Wing again, like another I said an episode I've already seen before watching Pokemon. So definitely that tells a lot about me and why I think it shouldn't be as high in this list. But yeah,
But for Pokemon fans, definitely give it a watch if you really like it. But let us know what you think about Pokemon as far as an anime and not the games.
yeah, awesome. Okay, next we have Re Zero. All right, this is the one I mentioned before. Nice.
Yep.
I don't think it's top 10 for me, but it's really really good though. Have you seen this one?
I actually have. I think so. I think Ray Zero has really good art style. I think it's really sleek. Again, not yeah. I would also say not top 10 for me. They do a good job of telling the story of the 25 episodes, but I think they could have. I don't know. I think they could have really developed it better with 50 episodes. I think it was kind of a little rushed, to be
Hmm.
fair, in my opinion. But what do you think about that?
So the reason I don't think okay, so there's a lot of things I like about the show. Like I said, the magic system within the show really works for me. Like I feel they made it in a way that it's believable and like you could see that working in a society, right?
Hmm.
But I feel like there is a lot of fan service and there's a lot of episodes that really drag in the plot and they have some really really dark elements, but sometimes there's some goofiness to the episodes that kind of undermines whatever darkness they're going for, and that's why I don't
Right.
think it's perfect. But it's really good. Probably top 30 for me, but not top 10.
Yeah, definitely. For me, I wouldn't even say top 30, but personal opinion.
Yeah, probably not top 10. Okay, here's number 7. Okay, I it's funny because 7 is my favorite number, and JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is 100% top 10 for me. I love the show.
Okay.
I love the goofiness of the art style. I love the plots, which are over masculine and not masculine at all at the same time. It feels like an homage to things like Fist of the North Star or Hokuto no Ken, as most people know it. There's like this over masculine tone, but then there's a lot of goofiness and a lot of weird things about it. I just think it works. I'm a buff for JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, so I definitely agree with this one being number 7. But this is the type of show that people either love it or don't really care for it because they just think it's too goofy. Where are you on this one?
See, now that's great because yeah, I think there is a little bit of silliness in this that does draw me away, but it's more of like the art style that kind of brings it back for me because the other silly ones, you have those little cutesy kind of drawn characters like falling over stuff. Here you have, people fighting with super serious faces and like I just really like the shading, the drawing. It's very like almost comic book, almost anime style, and I think, like you said, the masculinity is really what the comedy is all about, and it plays onto not masculine, but it's really cool because it's kind of just more of the way that they're so into every move they make, and it looks so cheesy that it's funny.
Yeah.
So I would definitely give this a watch. I at first was turned away, but definitely it's a fun anime to get into.
Would you put it on top 10?
For me personally, I'm gonna have to put it lower. It's not gonna break the top 10. The golden top 10 for me, no.
Okay.
JoJo does not make it.
All right. Okay. So it's fine. We can disagree on things. I mean, you can be wrong. No, but like for real, I just think like for me this one works a lot because I think the goofiness of it is intentional, which for me works. And again, if you want to really have a good time and see some fights that are serious and sometimes not at all, definitely watch this one. For me, it belongs in top 10 for sure, and 7
All
is a good
right.
number for it. So 100% in with that. Okay, awesome. Next one we have Neon Genesis Evangelion. I love this one. Actually, I was thinking I was going to disagree with the number, but I think this one belongs in number six for sure. I agree with this one.
I would even say it breaks into my top five.
Yeah, I
Um,
would probably say if it's not number six, it's probably number five or four. I agree with this one. Neon
yeah,
Genesis,
I
yeah,
think Neon Genesis overall is a really cool take on another mech anime that's not Gundam based.
yeah.
Now, again, it's not kind of like how we touched upon the topic Eureka 7, where these creatures, or rather these mechs, are not just mechs. They're not all human made. And there's such a nice, like, psychological kind of story that they really get into, like, how everything comes about, where these Avas come from, and then they get into the psychological pilots now, because we're talking kids are flying these, 6-story tall giant robots defending all of human race from these alien, or what they call angels in the anime, just destroying cities with like the flick of a wrist.
I think that the whole like lore of the show really works, and I've heard a lot of people even mention that they don't consider this show to be a mecha show, and I see why, because there's a lot of like psychological elements to the whole thing that do not feel like a mecha anime. So I agree. This spot is good. I would probably even put it higher. You're right. So yeah, definitely a watch for me, and I agree with being in top 10 for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Also, the movies are great. If you don't want to watch the whole thing, maybe watch the movies, and they will give you you know, a really good time. All right. So this was the first I don't agree with. I would probably switch this one with Cowboy Bebop and put it probably higher. But I think One Piece has a lot of fans, and I understand why. I've heard the plot is great. For me, watching anime comes to three things, which is characters, plot, and art style. And for me, the style is a little too goofy for me. And I understand how an artist can, play with the proportions and stuff like that. But even though I respect it, I don't think it draws me in enough to watch it. More so with the million episodes that it has. But yeah,
See, now One Piece, I think, is one of those animes that it's one of the big heavy hitters. Now we're talking, hundreds of episodes, just like Naruto and Bleach. But One Piece, I think, has like a nice variety of characters throughout the whole series. But really, it's kind of like, uh, you find this underdog that he just wants to be the pirate king. And for those who don't know the anime, there are these magical fruit called Gum Gum fruit, which imbues people powers, and the main character Luffy gets the power of elasticity. So that's a really cool power you don't really see in comic books, except for like the Elongated Man from DC, and a few other handful of people.
and
So it was a really cool take on that power. So I did like it for that, but there is a lot of silliness in this one, not just from the art style, but from the banter and the episode to episode kind of play.
before you give me your opinion on if you would put it here, what I really give it credit for is that they really play with the elasticity power, way different that Western media has, like Elastic Man or Plastic Man or Elongated Man. I think they
Yes.
play in a different way when it comes to like the way they fight and everything. I think he has really a lot of creativity when it comes to how they use their powers. That's
Yeah.
something I'll give it credit for.
And it is a fun anime to watch. Now, is it my top 10? No, but definitely it is worth a watch. Let us know what you think about that. But I think one thing that comes out of One Piece that I'll always love is one of the best samurai in anime history. Now,
Zoro.
one of the best, not Zoro,
I
with
that's
legendary
actually
three sword
okay.
style.
That's actually my favorite character from the show, even though I haven't watched a lot. I think he's just too badass and how he's loyal. And he's the number two and he's okay with being number two, which I love.
Yeah, and it's really, you only have a handful of true samurais in, and definitely Zoro is one of them. So definitely worth a watch if you're into, you know, the whole kind of whimsical underdog gets a gang of people and goes and fights against the world.
Okay, before we move on, recommend me a samurai anime. I would say for me, Samurai Champloo.
Samurai Champloo is a classic. We also have Afro Samurai,
Oh, Afro
very
Samurai.
great art style,
Yeah.
very cool, fast-paced fights, easy and not too many episodes, really easy to binge. Another one, just for people out there, if you want to get a third one in there, is Samurai 7.
Oh,
Now,
hell
Samurai
yeah. Yeah, it's a reimagining of an old tale with mecha. So have fun with it. It's really good.
Yes, definitely a samurai anime worth watching, and let us know how you feel about it.
Okay, so Monogatari series. I think I've seen a couple Monogataris. I've seen back in Monogatari. I've seen Nisa Monogatari. I don't think this one belongs here. To be honest with you, I don't think number four for me works here. Not after all the anime we've been over. If I wouldn't put Monogatari before Evangelion. So definitely not for me. It's a great show, great story, great characters, but not strong enough to be number four for me.
See, for me, I would also say that not even top 20. Now, Monogatari is very I think they have really cool fight scenes once you get a couple episodes in, but overall plot line, I think it's not very. Um, I just think it doesn't flow as well as a plot should because they just start throwing random characters with different powers that come from different areas of the world. So it's just a very big mix, and I think they could have just done a better job of really laying it out for the viewers. But definitely cool fight scenes, really cool art style. So definitely check it out. Let us know what you think about that one. Maybe your thoughts. It does break into the top 30.
Probably would say top 30, but not top 10. Not even top 5. Yeah.
No, definitely not.
All right. So Planet, or some might know as Kuranet. I do like it. I'm not sure number three is right for this one either.
I can't say I've watched this. Break it down for me a little bit.
It's basically it's kind of a drama thing. Uh, but okay. So here's the thing. I watched this a long time ago. I think it's enjoyable, but I don't think it's strong enough for being number. I don't think it's on my top 50. So yeah,
Okay. All right.
I mean,
All right.
okay, number two Naruto. Ah, this one kind of stinks for me because I watched Naruto and I've seen the whole thing. I enjoyed it, but there's too many things with it that I wouldn't categorize as a top 10. Probably top 20, but not
Ouch.
top 10. Yeah. I know you
See,
have different
now,
opinions on this one.
yeah, see, this is where we're gonna have to split because Naruto is pretty dope, believe it. Because we're talking Naruto, this orphan child that you see is just, kind of the bane of the village that has this dream to become a Hokage. And if for those who've watched continuation through Naruto Shippuden, you see him achieve his goal and all the characters and lore, the ninja wars, all the different styles. I think this anime has a lot of great characters. Now, also with those great characters comes a lot of fillers.
Yeah.
Now we're talking a ninja world of hundreds of ninjas. We're talking at least 50 characters in just one village alone. So definitely a big thing, just like One Piece, lots of episodes. But I think it's worth a watch because I really think the first couple seasons, especially when you all the way to the Naruto Sasuke arc, really, really cool take on, you know, how they were brought up in the village, how everything just goes to shit. I don't want to spoil too much, but there's a lot of stuff that goes on in this anime, and it becomes like a generational thing too, because now you see these people have kids, and now there's Boruto, so it's such a long story. But definitely,
Okay.
I think it would be in the top 10.
All right. So here's the thing. For me, I think the original Naruto without the filler would definitely be in top 10. Even some of the Shippuden, because I think there's some great plot lines within. I do love my favorite character is Kakashi, so I think there's a lot of great elements to it. And actually, it's not Kakashi; it's probably Jiraiya. But my point is, uh, the show is great. There's definitely a lot of good things about it. I just feel like maybe they kind of lost their way when it came to some of the things that made the show strong. Like if you start comparing the original Naruto to the Shippuden, like they switched the thing where they're fighting like very physically, and then they go to a more of a Susanoo fight where they don't even move, and it's just Susanoo's fighting. I don't think that worked as well as he could have, and
Yeah.
also after Madara, the plot really goes kind of south, and doesn't really do much with the whole alien thing. And don't even get me started on Boruto. I don't think Boruto. I think Boruto literally takes away from the original show for me. Uh,
Well, if we're talking Boruto episode 50. you know, dude's rocking a penguin suit versus episode 50, Rock Lee is versus Gara. So I think it's a different kind of transition from where the original Naruto, where you're looking at these kids trying to prove their mettle in the tuning exams, becoming ninjas, and really take on the world, to a time of peace, and they're just trying to bring more villains in to continue the storyline. So I think it is really different.
Yeah,
But original Naruto definitely top
yeah.
10 for me.
Original Naruto definitely top 10. Shippuden I would argue top 20, and Boruto not even top 50 for me. But overall, I would probably put it in top like as number 10 with both the original and the Shippuden because there's a lot of good elements to it, great fights, and if we take away the filler, definitely top 10 for sure. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, number one, Kimetsu no Yaiba. Okay, I think this anime is great. I'm not sure if number one though. It's probably number top three or top five. Not sure if number one. What do you
See
think?
now Demon Slayer, I think, since I mean realistically it, I think it's getting a lot of pull, but I think it's for good reason. Now we're in this world where there's, demons, and there's, the main character Tanjiro is just some kid off that who lives in the mountain, and his family gets slaughtered, and he's left with his sister that is part demon now. And it's a really cool thing, because I do really like when you have a protagonist who really has a sense of justice and protection. And I think they really do that well with Tanjiro. He's like a pure heart, almost like Goku pure heart, where he's just trying to, find his way in the world, and sees this threat, and he just hears the call. So I think it's a really cool storyline, and I think the animation really sleek, very colorful, and it's different because we mentioned before it's not really all hand drawn.
Okay, so
There is some digital. Yeah,
here's
go
the
for
thing.
it.
Here's the thing with Kimetsu no Yaiba. I think the plot is good. I don't think it's a perfect story. I think it's a story that we've probably seen 100 times. I just think they did it in a different way that works. And like you said, what really pushes the anime forward is the animation and the art style in itself. I think that the fights have this incredible slickness to it, this incredible. It just really works, man. I think the way they did everything digitally works, and that's saying a lot considering I've seen a lot of animes that do it that they don't make it work as well. Like if you see something like Baki or Kengan Ashura or even Beastars, sometimes the uncanny valley when you see it, the movement is so weird because it's digital, and I think they work so hard in this anime to make it look good that you can tell it's really crafted with love, right?
Yeah, because you can even see, for example, just for One Punch Man, first season really
Perfect.
great. Second season they brought some of that CGI rendering with some of the villain fights. Kind of, but I think Demon Slayer really did a great job of doing it and really keeping you in the anime without throwing these, digital renderings that are, kind of take you out of the whole thing.
Yeah, with One Punch Man, I think it was a different house. It wasn't Matt House, the one that did the second season. That's why
Yeah,
it
but
failed.
that was just an example of where it could go wrong,
Yeah,
even with
for
a
sure.
great anime.
Yeah. Okay, so would you put it number one?
No, but honestly, even though Demon Slayer is new and up and with the movie coming out, I would say definitely top 10. It would
Top
break
10.
top 10,
Hell
and
yeah.
we're saying because art style, and I do love the characters. I have a kind of a pre notion when you get a group of misfits together and they just kick ass. So that's kind of a underdog kind of story that I love. So
Yeah.
definitely would be in the top 10.
I agree with you with that because I actually feel like this feels like the beginning of Hunter x Hunter, which, to be honest, I think Hunter x Hunter should be in this list now that I think
Oh,
about it.
definitely,
And should be top
definitely.
10 for sure. And that's one of the animes I think that should be in this list, and it's not, and I feel bad for it because I think like Hunter x Hunter is great. I just really hope they finish it because
Yeah,
the yeah.
and for viewers out there, there is an original Hunter x Hunter and a newer one that was made in 2000. So definitely check them both out.
Yeah,
You definitely see some significant art style differences. I believe the first one's a little drawn, a little bit more darker style. But let us know which one you think is better if you do end up checking them out.
yeah, for sure. All right, so any last thoughts on anime that you feel like should be here?
Well, honestly, I mean, we did touch up on Samurai Champloo. That should have been on a list, not only just for samurai animes, but definitely on
Oh,
there.
hmm.
A classic that I personally like is Scry Ed. Now, Scry Ed is kind of a uh, almost not war torn, but kind of like a set in a very government controlled society where people are that have powers are called alter users, and they can take shapes and forms of different like mechs or different like kind of style almost humanoid creatures, and they battle, and the government is trying to round up the illegal alter users because now they have their own squad of alters that kind of you know
I
police everything.
I haven't watched that one, so I will definitely take a look at that one because that sounds incredible. But
And that one's a really cool. And then you have a main character, protagonist, and antagonist. They have this rivalry that it's almost like it's very like almost hatred built, but you see it become like this kind of brotherly thing, almost Naruto Sasuke thing, hate love kind of relationship. And it's I think they do a really good job.
all
And
right,
it's an old school anime,
if
but
you think about it, because I wasn't a fan of the whole Naruto Sasuke dynamic, because I'm not a fan of Sasuke, but I think if you want to see something like that, I think Boku no Hero does it good. Like they have this rivalry, but they make it like they hate each other at some point, at least Bakugo does, and then after they really fight as equals, they just become like friends. Like they're still competitive, but they are friends, which is what I think works. Uh,
yeah, I think they do a good job of that too on that one.
okay, so again, definitely Champloo. I think anime that should be at least on your watch list. I'm not sure if you would put it here on the top 10 or top 30, but definitely watch Terror in Resonance or Sankyo no Terror as it's called. Really good. It's written by the same guy who wrote Cowboy Bebop, who wrote Samurai Champloo. So definitely take a look at that one, and you'll definitely enjoy it. And yeah, I think that's my last note. I don't know if you want to add anything, running.
Well, there is one we talked about. It's upcoming Black Clover. Again, magical based kind of world where you have this one main character that has no magic in a world where everyone pretty much has magical powers or has an access to magic, and he kind of Naruto story where he wants to be the Wizard King, which is kind of the equivalent of the Hokage, but
Yeah,
the protector of everyone. And you see his struggle where he really pushes it in a world that kind of is against him and everyone has an upper hand. So I think that's a cool one. Definitely has silliness, but overall, I think if you put the time in, the characters really grow on you. And it's definitely a must watch.
I like that one because I usually like the underdog story where someone has to work their ass off to become equal, and they don't give up. So definitely take a look at that one. Also, the animation really improves from the show going forward. Oh, actually, another show that should be probably in top 30. It's Fire Force or and Shobutai. I think. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Fire Force, I think, is really nice. Definitely really sleek animation.
Yeah.
That
That.
off the bat, they give you fights. If you're looking for crazy sleek animations, creatures on fire, and a whole squad, that's definitely a must watch. And I think that might break top 30 definitely.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. So I think that's our thoughts. I think this video was probably longer than we expected it to be. So if you guys like content like this, let us know in the comments below. And yeah, I think this was great. Remember to like, share, and subscribe with your friends, and definitely let us know what you think of this type of
And if you
videos.
guys and if you guys have any recommendations of maybe ones animes we should have put on 30, or even if you're interested on our official top 10, let us know in the comments.
All right. So thank you for joining, and stay blessed.
Take care, guys.
Grinding my whole life. Stop that. Grinding my whole life.